Guys, I saw something on my plant yesterday and it made me realize that, oh my goodness gracious, it's about to happen. It is about to happen. The one thing I've not been looking forward to is inevitable and it is about to happen. And before it does, I want to showcase my plants because this may be the most beautiful they are going to be in a long while. When this thing happens, everything changes here. If you're wondering what exactly does this drama queen mean, let me show you what I saw yesterday. Come on. Oh, Jesus. Come, cameraman, please.
Oh my God, what is
Guys, this is sunburn. My plants have started to burn. So guys, the rainy season is about to come to an end in this part of the world. And when the rainy season ends, the dry season follows, and the dry season is hellfire weather. It's oh jeez. So before we get to that hellfire oven weather, I want to do one last tour of my outdoor collection while they look their best. Okay, this is probably the fullest it's going to be because during the dry season I'm going to have to move some of these plants indoors, reshuffle the arrangement, so before that major change, why don't we do a tour and appreciate the plants in their current glory. So the first place I want to begin this tour with is my veranda. If you're a regular OG of this channel, you know that I film a lot of my videos here and you guys actually voted that this is your favorite filming setup and I can't really blame you. It's the ultimate cozy vibe. I have my famous swinging chair that I just love to just swing around and swing. Look babes, if there's one thing I would encourage you to do is please create a cozy nook around your home or in your home with plants, and this is my own perfect little cozy nook. Of course, there is the ZZ. You guys really love this ZZ. Anytime I make my videos, this ZZ always get lots of compliments. You guys absolutely love her. She's doing her thing here, even though she's currently stretching towards the light. So this corner during the rainy season gets quite dark, obviously because of my plant and the shelf and the shade net I have above. The cameraman is going to show you that is blocking out most of the light. But during the dry season, this place, I'm even going to fill it up with more plants. During the dry season, this place it's the coolest while also being relatively brighter. So I'm going to bring in more plants here. We have to talk about this young lady. This is the Cystis mirabilis wild form. This plant is actually native to Nigeria, and this one was actually gotten from a forest somewhere in Nigeria. And I have my golden pothos that I've placed here. I remember when I wanted to place this golden pothos here, I had my doubts that this plant was going to struggle, but honestly, a pothos will always prove you wrong. They are so resilient, and she's doing her thing and she looks absolutely gorgeous. And then here in this my hanging plant situation, this is a Stapilia gigantea. This babe has flowered for me on several locations. She's notorious for having very stinky blooms. I recently just moved this madam over here, and I recently reported her because she was in the same pot for 900 years and she was looking miserable. So I just reported her, fertilized her, moved her here, and yeah, I'm loving how she's looking here. And then over here I've got this Ripsalis. I'm not sure which exact type of Ripsalis this is, but I just added her to this corner just to create that lush hanging effect. Down here I have Agnolema. This is one of my favorite plants, y'all. I'm never parting with this plant. Anywhere I move, I'm going to take a little pop of this plant. She's extremely resilient. Sometimes I even forget to water her. She just does her thing, and I like that she's filling up this space with a little pop of color. And here I have my little disco ball. Oh my god, you guys should see this place in the evening. It is just a beautiful sight to behold. So this veranda is west facing, so the Nigerian sun shines here during the evening and just Once it reflects on this disco ball, beauty to behold. This is a Mandula pothos that I just dumped over here. She's doing her thing, adding as a little space filler, all of that. I want to pinpoint this Alocasia pink dragon because for some strange reason her leaves just kept looking busted and crusted. And I was like, what is the problem? So I moved her to this veranda, which is quite shaded, and she seems to really love it. Babe is even bringing out a new leaf. So I think this is one Alocasia that doesn't like, places that are too bright. That's my theory. So that is the veranda. That is the veranda. I love to just sit down here and just swing away while staring beautifully at the plants. I 100% recommend. So let's move over to the plants at the front entrance of my home. So people who often visit me, including my neighbor, they always ask, how the hell do you expect people to pass with all these plants you have here? Well, please, no complaints whatsoever. Although this auntie here, unfortunately guys, I am gonna have to propagate this auntie because she is going crazy and soon she won't be able to fit this spot. This is my large form Monstera, and one of the game-changing things that happened that made this Monstera really just become huge, I shared it in one of my Monstera care videos that was a massive flop. None of you watched it. Is moving this plant into a big pot. So I'm going to insert B-rolls, but she's in quite a huge pot and her aerial roots are just going bonkers. So moving her into a big pot honestly just took her to the next level. I'm honestly surprised that this plant hasn't been fried to pieces by the Nigerian sun, because some of you remember a tour that I did about a year ago. I was so certain that I was going to have to move this plant, sell it, especially as I was approaching the dry season, because this shade net doesn't extend further. So the sun comes here and literally lambasts these plants. But to my surprise, this babe was able to withstand and take the heat to a certain extent. I did lose maybe 1 or 2 leaves, but she showed me she's capable of taking some intense and direct sunlight. So I'm hoping that this upcoming dry season, she's going to prove me right even more. Now, there's this rubber plant here. She's looking good, she's doing her thing, but I'm a bit disappointed because I was hoping that they tend to grow really fast during the rainy season. I've talked about it in my rubber plant care video, but I was hoping that during this rainy season, Madame would have grown at least a bit taller than me or even to my height so that she can provide some much needed shade for some of these plants. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case. So anyways, cameraman, please do come closer. In my little pathway here, I have lined it with some beautiful plants. I've got my cameraman. Come. I have got, this is a Calathea that has proven to be tough as nails. She's doing her thing here. And then over next, I've also got a couple of aglaonemas that I've lined up this space here. One thing about aglaonemas is that they're honestly not the biggest fan of the rainy weather, and I don't know if you can see some signs of that on this one. Yeah, I've actually had to restart several of them during this rainy season. They don't like the prolonged rain and the wet conditions, so they're definitely going to do and look a lot better during the dry season. I've also got this young lady that I've kept here. This is a philodendron strawberry shake. I'm worried that during the dry season, the Nigerian sun may fry her here. So this is one of the plants I'm going to have to probably move indoors. And then this is another one that I'm really surprised just continues to defy the odds and thrive. This is a Calathea that popped up in my garden as a weed, honestly, and can take whatever the elements throw at it. Full sun, neglect, drought. So if you're struggling with Calatheas, I would strongly advise you get this one. And speaking of Calatheas, girlies, this one hidden over here, can you see her? She's one of my personal favorite plants. And I had this plant since she was just a tiny pup. I'm going to insert a picture. I recently saw a picture of when I first bought this plant. I saw how small she was and it made me so happy. Let me see if I can bring her out so you can fully appreciate her beauty. Look at this. Cameraman, I hope you are getting the full scope. Look at her. So beautiful. Like, oh my god, I love her. This is also another very easy one you can get if you're struggling with calatheas. Trust me, if she can survive in this oven of a country, she can survive in your home. Place her here. Then moving over, I have this beautiful variegated anthurium hickory. She didn't grow as fast as I wanted her to grow this year. She had an incident where the Nigerian sun almost fried her to death, so I had to move her indoors, and she actually didn't grow much or even at all indoors. So I just brought her out about maybe a month or two ago. I am dealing with, and this is, please cameraman, come and see. I'm dealing with a bit of scale issues. And can you see that evil ant? Can you see it here? Then can you see the ants gallivanting? Yes, so the ants are responsible for spreading scales in my garden. I'm going to see a couple of plants that have scales in this garden. Scales are the biggest issue I have, and my garden unfortunately is infested with ants. So this babe, I'm going to have to treat her down. Unfortunately with scales, the only thing that works, I found that is effective against them to a certain extent, is a systemic pesticide. I don't like to use it so regularly now, but I might just have to do so. This is an aglonema that has honestly really done so well for me this year because it grows so painfully slowly. But this year she really just said, okay, it's my time to shine. And just look at the material. Look at her, so beautiful. Guys, I can't believe I almost forgot to showcase about this beautiful baby here. I just found out that this is in fact not a fry deck. I often used to call it a fry deck, but it's an Alocasia mix clip. I'm going to insert the name. And this is a plant that has truly surprised me. I bought this plant months ago, not even thinking it was going to amount to anything, because you all know how it is with Alocasias. But she surprised me, and look at where we are now. If you want to know how I take care of this plant, I made a video that was a bit of a flop. So you guys, I'm going to link it, go and watch it. I've noticed that you guys don't care about my plant care videos. This is your cue to please try those difficult plants again. You know, treat them, like I've said, treat them as cut flowers and let them surprise you. And this one certainly did. Okay, now this is the latest addition to my garden. This is a lipstick plant, a coily lipstick plant, and unfortunately I can't really find a lot of comprehensive and categorical information about how to take care of this plant. A lot of the information I see is very conflicting. Although a friend of mine who has owned this before told me that they do not like wet feet. I should only water them when they are completely dry, which is what I'm doing. I bought this looking a bit run down, but it was heavily discounted. They are very expensive in Nigeria. Oh, let me know if these guys are expensive where you're watching from, but in this part of the world they are so expensive. So moving on now to this shelf. Some of you remember in a video I made when I got this shelf, it wasn't what I wanted, but it has really been game changing, and it has allowed me stuff as many plants as I can here. Cameraman, why don't we focus on this little monkey tail? This was my wish list plant for 900 years. That's so difficult to find in this country. So my friend literally had to ship one all the way from Tanzania, another African country in East Africa, and it did cost me a bit of an arm and a leg. It's one of my more expensive plants. I recently propagated her, and this is the cotton I stuck. Unfortunately, it has come off. Let me stick it back inside. Oh, I'll do that after the camera, after the tour, please. And then this young lady is another Alocasia that has really pleasantly surprised me, guys. This one is proving to be tough as nails. All I have to do is just water her when she's dry and provide her with some shade, and she's fine. And guys, please, we can never skip over this beauty. This is a variegated Humalomina rubescens, and this is my second attempt at growing this plant, and I've been able to get success with it because I did something game-changing this year. I'm going to share that in a later video, but please, one of the game-changing things I did this year with my plants is I stopped tampering with the roots whenever I was repotting them. Honestly, that difficult finicky plant is because whenever you're repotting like a mad person. You're tampering with the roots aggressively. We don't do that anymore in this garden, and that has honestly been really game-changing for a lot of my plants. I also always keep this plant moist and hydrated. I don't leave it to ever dry out for a day, and certainly not two. Okay, now I also squeezed some other plants in this corner that I want to show off as well. This one is a bit disappointing because it's one of the more expensive plants I've bought, but unfortunately it just keeps pushing out all variegated leaves, and which will eventually crisp. So please, if you're investing in a variegated plant, never get one that has sectorial variegation. Sectorial variegation may look beautiful. This is what I mean by sectorial variegation. It may look beautiful, or as we call it, half moon variegation. It may look beautiful, but it's always going to end up being a disaster because the variegated parts will often outshine the all green part, if that makes sense. And then over here is this plant. Honestly, has surprised me greatly this year. I thought I had completely lost it, and then one day it just popped off as a weed in one of my plants, and I was like, wow. Decided to come back to life, and I separated it, and so far it has pushed out 2 more leaves, which is a good thing because this plant is now really expensive in Nigeria. Can I quickly lament? Plant prices in Nigeria have become so high and so expensive, and I think it's something that I need to address. I need to use my platform to address on Instagram. Follow my Instagram. I do a lot of shenanigans there, so you do want to check it out. Anyways, I've got this totem, this philodendron totem that was growing in my room for ages. So I finally decided to have mercy on it, move into a bigger pot and bring it outdoors so she can experience a growth spurt like she's currently doing. So what I do sometimes is, the cheat code that comes with living in the tropics is that you can grow your plants indoors, and then if you want them to really grow really fast, you bring them outdoors. That's what I'm doing with this one. This Alocasia poly that I've wanted for so long. This plant may be a common weed for you guys watching this overseas, but here in Nigeria it's not common and it is very expensive. This is one of my more expensive plant purchases that I got maybe about a month or two, and so far so good. This is an aglonema. I think I'm gonna have to throw this one in the dustbin soon because she's pest infested, and I've been treating her for pest. Cameraman, please come closer. This is the pest issue that is very common with aglonemas, especially for me here. It's a type of scale that tends to love them, so I'm gonna have to just dispose of that. But babes, from time to time it's good to give up on certain plants and throw them away, especially if you can get another one. It will save you your sanity. And then I am so happy I've been able to keep this beautiful Calathea orbifolia alive. Although I'm worried that now that we're entering the dry season, it may be a bit more of a challenge, but I'm just going to enjoy her while I can. The trick has been to move her to a self-watering pot, and I fill it up with rainwater, and she's basically doing her thing. And over here I have my variegated Monstera. This plant was my pride and joy for a very long time, but honestly babes, the reality of growing a variegated Monstera outdoors in an oven of a country is you end up with a lot of crispy tips. I've had to constantly cut it back, constantly, like look. And then I'm also battling with the sectorial variegation. At one point I was having all variegated leaves, and I was so relieved when it brought out this leaf. So this is the type of variegation you want, something a bit more marbled as opposed to something like that is sectorial like this, because it doesn't always end up being you know, the best. So yeah, she's beautiful, but she's not really looking her best, and I haven't really grown her to like her prime. Do you get what I mean? So I think I may even have to move her inside during the dry season, so the Nigerian sun doesn't do what it does best, which is to fry my plants. Yeah, and then I really like this plant. I think she's so beautiful. Oh my god, this is a type of Anthurium crystallinum hybrid, so it's not exactly a crystallinum. I feel like it is mixed with something, but I don't know what hybrid this is. Now I've had horrible luck with Anthurium crystallinum growing it in this part of the world. It doesn't like the heat, but this one seems to be able to withstand the heat to a certain extent and grows really fast and very bushy. Cameraman, come closer. You're gonna see there's so much growth points, like so much growth points everywhere, and I just love to just stare at it and just look at it, and I love it so much. Another one that honestly is surprising me is this Rhaphidophora tetrasperma. Some of you know, in a video I made recently, I lamented that this plant has been so disappointing. It's not doing anything, and I think it heard my lamentations and just decided to show off. Like this past couple of weeks, it has just brought out that quintessential, that iconic leaf variegation that looks like a dragon tail, hence its common name, the Rhaphidophora dragon tail. So I really love it. Also, shout out to my bed of paradise. This was a plant that I always struggled to grow in this part of the world, and I thought I was gaslighting myself, because other people that live in tropical countries grow this outdoors and it can take their sun, but in this part of the world it just couldn't, and it always would decline if I grew it in full sun. So I've just accepted that is the case. Where I live I think is hotter than most places. So I have her growing underneath my shade net, and she's doing fine, and I've been able to keep her alive for much longer. I want to showcase my ficuses here. Over here I've got 3 ficuses. Cameraman, please show them the 3 ficuses. Hello. This is what happens when your cameraman isn't a plant person. They don't know what a ficus is. So I've got my Ficus tenaci. Now this plant, I pinched it with hoping that it was going to branch out, but it never did, and I just accepted that is the case. And then this is another rarely known ficus. It's an African fig tree. This one is native to West Africa, including Nigeria, and I don't know why you guys in the West aren't keen on growing this. I don't see this in your collections. What's the tea? It's very beautiful, very unproblematic, naturally branches out, and I love the rubbery feel of its leaves. This is another one that is actually native to West Africa, including Nigeria, but this is almost impossible to find growing in the wild, I think because of deforestation, and it's also really expensive here. Like it's so ironic how a plant can be native to your country, yet it's so expensive. So luckily, and I grew this one from just a very small, I'm gonna see if I can insert a picture, just a very small leaf cutting, and here we are several months later. Unfortunately, the Nigerian sun, like I mentioned earlier, is trying to fry her to pieces, so I'm gonna have to move this eventually, look for somewhere I can move it to. And then this is an Aglonema tricolor. I don't know, this year she's not really doing much for me, and I think, like I said, I think they prefer the dry season, these ones, and not so much all that moisture and wetness and humidity that comes with the rainy season. Then there's this plant here. This is what is this? The Alocasia marble. I grew this as a small cutting. I want to tell you something. Cameraman, look, let them look at me. I want to tell you something, guys. A hack, please. Never buy an epipermnum for expensive. I don't care how rare that epipermnum is. Don't buy it if it's expensive, because epipermnums grow really fast. This one, when it first hit the Nigerian market, it was so expensive when I bought it, but now the price has just come down because it grows like a weed, y'all. So yeah, that's just worthy of note. Then in this bottom section, I've got a mixed bag of my calatheas. I still don't know what calathea this is, so please, if you're able to ID this calathea for me. I thought it was a calathea crocota, but turns out, cameraman, please fully show it, please. This cameraman is notorious for zooming in, but turns out it's not. So please let me know what calathea this is, if you're able to ID it. Then there's this other calathea here that honestly just bounced back after, you know, looking like a hot mess, and she's doing her thing. So calatheas really love the rainy season. I'm just worried that during the dry season the struggle is going to be real. Now this romantic, she's still alive. I've had it in my care for about maybe 2 months now. You know, she's still alive. And I remember when I bought this plant, because it is quite expensive in this country. I remember when I bought her, my friends were making me feel like I made a very foolish decision. But so far so good. She's alive and she's doing her thing. Now the cameraman is insisting I spotlight this plant. This is what is this? This is a philodendron silver sword, and I've had a very hard time growing this plant, but this specimen seems to honestly be the most resilient I've grown, and seems to be doing her thing. I have her on this stick. I've refused to give this plant a moss pull, but you can see she's desperately looking for something to latch on. So maybe I may succumb, eventually give her a moss pull, but isn't it just beautiful? This is another calathea that just came back from the dead during the rainy season. Just came back. So what our advice is, if your calatheas actually perish, don't dispose of them. What I do is that sometimes I just unpot them, and then I add the root to whatever I can salvage of the root or of that plant. I add it to another plant or to my potting mix, and then sometimes they just pop off as weeds in other plants, and I separate them. And that was exactly what I did with this young lady over here. Ladies and gentlemen, let me show you the most expensive plant I've ever bought. The most expensive plant in my collection, period. This is a Philodendron Florida Beauty, and yeah, she's beautiful. They are quite expensive in this country. Let me know, are these expensive where you are? But if there's one variegated plant that I would strongly advise you splurge on, is this one. Honestly, she's been so unproblematic. I even recently just took a cutting because I need to make my money back, and she has bounced back and she's doing her thing. I honestly love her. Yeah. And then I sometimes forget to showcase my ficus Audrey, and that's because she's so unproblematic, so easy, just honestly doing her thing and naturally branching out on her own. So she has been such a joy, and yeah, love my ficus Audrey. And then this is another one that has honestly just been a joy to grow. An incredibly cheap plant that I bought, and I just dumped it there, and I pretty much don't even do anything, just flowers prolifically. And yeah, and then I think, I haven't spotlighted this beauty here. I guarantee you this is the fullest Euphorbia mealy you will ever see on the internet. And I think the game-changing thing for me was I grew this in soil. I currently grew this in soil that is full of manure, like full to the brim of manure, and it just absolutely loves it. And as you can see, she's bushy and doing her thing. So guys, this is actually my neighbor's entrance, and before we proceed with the other side of my garden, I want to show you a plant I gifted my neighbor. And let me bring it out, cameraman, let me just bring it out. A plant I gifted my neighbor, and it is doing really well. I'm proud that they've been able to keep this plant alive. This is a calathea. Fun fact, this is actually a calathea white fusion, y'all, that completely reverted. and turned into this. And has proven to be extremely resilient. It's even flowering. It's even flowering, yeah. Lovely, lovely. But anyways, now this is the unshaded part of my garden, and this is where I keep like my succulents or the plants that can take the Nigerian sun to a certain degree. And please, we need to talk about this. We need to talk about, when I bought this plant, I didn't know what exactly it was, and I didn't expect it to grow to be this beautiful and big. She's so unproblematic. I still don't know what exactly this euphorbia, I know it's an euphorbia, but I'm not sure what variant this is. But she's almost as tall as me, y'all. She's almost as tall as me, and I am 6 foot tall. She's actually tall. The cameraman, the shady cameraman, just told me that she's actually taller. But you know, yeah, I definitely would. If you live in an oven of a country, please get your hands on one of these, okay? And then in this shelf situation, let's talk about the plant. Oh my God, it's like it's about to rain. No, well, let's keep filming. Let's talk about the plants I have here in my windowsill. I have this elephant bush, and then this young lady here is donkey tail or boar's tail, and there's this Sansevieria silver frost that I have here as well. And then in the first tier of this shelf is this my Sansevieria canary. Look at the ants, y'all. This is what I'm dealing with in this garden. These ants, they're everywhere doing their thing. Anyways, so Sansevieria canary grew this as a small pup, and look at her now. A beautiful sight to behold. I have this my Alocasia that is in the process of flowering. Cameraman, can you get the flowers? Yeah. And then this is another Sansevieria copper tone. This is just a pop I separated from the mother plant you're gonna see. And this is a Jabera daisy that is flowering. There's something eating this plant. There's like a caterpillar or whatever eating this plant. And you know what, I don't really mind because it's not like one of my precious plants. So I've just figured, okay, you can eat it as long as you don't spread over to my other plant. Like and yeah, do you get what I mean? You need to have the occasional sacrificial lamb in your garden, and this is low-key a sacrificial lamb. I've got this. I recently reported this plant and it's been tilting downwards. So I'm worried that maybe it has started to rot. I don't know. And there's this other Sansevieria here. This is a bonsal variant. I've got this Haworthia here as well. I honestly do not know the name of this plant, y'all. It's a type of Haworthia. And I have this incredibly slow growing Wilfing Sansevieria here. So slow growing. And look, my desert rose is about to flower. This is bringing out a very beautiful peach and yellow colored bloom. So beautiful. Fun fact, desert roses. Cameraman, do you want to have a look at the person speaking? Thank you. Fun fact, desert roses are actually native to, their native range includes Nigeria, and they're native to like very hot and dry parts of northern Nigeria. So if you live in an oven like I do, you can never go wrong with a desert rose. I have a whole desert rose care video, so do check that out. And then this aloe, this is an aloe, I don't know what it is. I was told it's an aloe Christmas carol. Very interesting name, but it is currently flowering constantly and currently flowering as well. And then this, I love the euphorbia millie that is here, that is just doing her thing and constantly flowering. But I'm not so much a fan of this cactus. I think the problem is, as you can see, she looks really wilted and thin, right? It doesn't look like it has, it doesn't have literally no moisture in its stem and its trunk, and I believe it's because it's in a terracotta pot. So I'm not the biggest fan of terracotta pots because they dry out really fast, and I don't think she's able to retain some moisture because she's in this terracotta pot contraption. I'm gonna have to find a way to separate it whenever I have the time and energy. This is another one that heard me slandering it the other day and has decided to bounce back. I think a game-changing thing I did was I added lots of slow release fertilizer on it. I've come to realize ficuses are really heavy feeders. Even if you're giving them the occasional compost and manure, you do need to also supplement with, you know, a well-rounded fertilizer. Yeah. And in this next shelf or corner, I've got this beautiful desert rose as well. She's in the process of shedding some leaves, which they do if you leave them to stay dry for too long. And then on my bedroom windowsill, I have this planter that I have some aloes here. Have you noticed I love my succulents as well as my tropicals? This is philodendron pink princess marble, a variant of the pink princess that actually holds on to its variegation. Yeah, and isn't as disappointing as your conventional pink princess. And here is I don't know what it. I think this is an euphorbia ghost, white ghost, but it grows really, really slowly, y'all. I've had this for like months. It is growing so painfully slowly. And then, speaking of a plant that grows slowly, there's this. This is this type of monstrous cacti that also grows painfully slowly. Yeah, I've kept this Alocasia here because it wasn't really doing anything in the shaded corner where I keep my tropical plants, and I think this Alocasia prefers a bit more light. But I don't even know what is happening. The leaves are even beginning to look yellow. I don't know. I think it's in the process of declining. Well, let's just continue to observe. Then I have some of my snake plants here, Sansevieria and Cleopatra, if I'm not mistaken. This grows so painfully slowly. This is my Sansevieria golden honey. Look at, so beautiful. Is she not beautiful, guys? And in this shelf here, I've got, if you're wondering what this is a Madagascar palm that I recently propagated. Yeah. And this is some cinnamon that I placed to prevent rots. Let me see if there's even any rots, if the cinnamon is working. As you can see, guys, the cinnamon is working because I actually propagated this earlier without applying the cinnamon, and there was some rot on the stem. This is a beautiful contraption of different succulents that I dumped in there. I don't really know the name of a lot of these my succulents, y'all. I just grow them. And I want to hold this one. I really like this one. I don't know if the camera would really. This is my elephant bush plant. I love it. If you're finding it hard to grow jade plants in your tropical climate, this will really come in handy. She grows aggressively, and fun fact, this plant is actually edible, y'all. I've tasted it, and it reminds me of like vitamin C to a certain extent. Absolutely love it. Love it. And then this plant, a lot of people usually ask me, is this real? It looks like an animation, it looks like an illustration. It is. This is an agave Victoria Regini. Grew this from a small pop. This is an extremely resilient plant. I only water it maybe once every 3 months, and I don't even fertilize it, nothing. I basically just ignore it, and it is basically doing a thing. Let me carry this one up. This is my Sansevieria copper tone Kirkii. A lot of you, I have a Sansevieria video that is honestly my most watched video on this channel, and some of you have been asking me for an update, but honestly my Sansevierias haven't really grown much because I've kept them contained in this small pot. At the end of the day, I live in a rented apartment. It's a shared space, so I can't have these plants just grow big. This has been in the same pot for pretty much forever and has pretty much just stopped growing, and I'm fine. You don't have to grow your plants to be huge, big specimens, okay? I'm fine with this. Maybe when I move into a bigger space and my own home, I can grow them to be more impressive specimens. But speaking of an impressive specimen, I think my ponytail palm is an impressive specimen. Love this plant so much. You can grow it indoors, you can grow it outdoors. It's extremely resilient. I had this indoors for a long time in my dark living room, and she still held her ground. But now I brought her out and she's beginning to grow further and faster. And then I have over here my ficus ruby. Honestly, I haven't really been, my ficuses this year, this rainy season, they didn't really grow as much. Honestly, this is a plant I've been ignoring. It hasn't really grown for me as much, but I'm gonna do better. I need to change the soil. I think she's incredibly root bound, and just provide her with more TLC. You can see that she's dormant, and I talk about it in my ficus video, how to tell when your plants are dormant, your rubber plants are dormant. That video is very, very helpful, and it's very game changing, so you do want to check it out and watch it. So the next corner of my garden is actually my backyard, and that I am going to reserve for my membership girlies. So you guys don't judge me publicly here, because it's not the most aesthetic. Like, it's really giving third world aesthetic. It looks like a hot mess. And yeah, I'm gonna reserve that for my YouTube membership people. But if you want to join the membership and see what that part of the garden really looks like, it's not pretty, y'all. That's where the rats that keep tormenting me reside. If you want to see that, then join the YouTube membership. But the rest of y'all, I'm gonna unfortunately end this tour here. I hope you enjoyed it. I feel like I was rambling a bit too much. I was a bit uncoordinated, but I hope you enjoyed this tour. Let me know what your favorite plant was in my collection, okay? And what your favorite corner of my collection is. Let me know in the comment section, and I'll see you in the next video. But for my membership, YouTube membership girlies, let's continue the tour.